So we met you. How did we meet you? I can't remember. I think there's actually a story of trauma we shouldn't talk about. We previously built a pool with someone. You knew someone. Maybe you're just Facebook, social media.
First originally met. I called you guys to do an install and a custom build for me in Sepulpa.
Yes.
You guys did that, and then I had a remodel customer that was good friends with you, Laura Gibson.
Yes, she was our son's Miss Gibson.
Oh,
she was our son's teacher. She shout out Miss Gibson. She made sure the twins and they all graduated, and cool. Yeah. And then through that, and then we built our house. You came and looked at our pool, and so all kinds of stuff. But then I think at one point you even the pool that we had built previously, you had talked to us about some concrete covering or something. Came out to look at it. Softcrete. Yeah. Cool. So how long have you been in business?
So Anthem has been in business since 2019. I've been in the construction industry pretty much since I was 16 years old. So, but Anthem here in Tulsa we've been in business since 2019. So we originally started as Anthem Construction, then evolved into Anthem Pools, Anthem Homes, and now we own Softcrete, another company as well. So since 2019, we've been pretty heavy in the presence in the marketplace here in Tulsa.
So I know we were talking a little bit before we really went live, but you are transitioning not so much into residential and less residential, more commercial now?
Yeah, we're trying to focus our sales efforts into more commercial space, So it's not...
why?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess I'm a glutton for punishments, in short. I feel for the company as a general contractor, I feel, and so there's probably contractors that would disagree with this, but it's probably kind of the next evolution as a general contractor going into the commercial space. And high level, it really makes sense because we could have 1 to 2 commercial jobs replace the total gross revenue of, let's say, 5 to 8 residential jobs. So it's not necessarily we're looking to replace all of our work and go strictly commercial, but we're just more actively targeting commercial work.
I can imagine, and maybe Oscar probably knows this, on a general contractor perspective, maybe it is the better play. But on the subcontractor, it's definitely not normally.
Yeah, as a sub, you have to have a definite niche for it. As a general contractor, if you know what you're doing and you're able to mitigate through all of the legalities, that's a lot of words there. But if you're able to do that and do it efficiently, then I feel like you probably could have a good niche there. Let me ask you a question that's a little bit different. So what's your why for why you do what you do?
That's a good one.
Very good question. My family, my time, freedom, my family.
Are you free of your time though?
No, I'm not.
LOL.
So owning and running a business doesn't make you just, you're not on vacation all the time?
No, not at all.
It's so funny
So that's the idea. That was the idea.
So what's the motivation? That's what I'm asking about your why. What's your motivation in life that keeps you passionate or striving to be better at what you do?
Right. So I've pretty much been an entrepreneur since I was 11 years old. I started selling candy bars. That was my first hustle. So it's kind of in my DNA. And my wife has started Anthem Realty. They're actually having a meeting right now upstairs. So we're kind of just a household of entrepreneurs. So call us crazy, but that's just kind of in our DNA. And so we really enjoy innovation, dreaming, visioning, forecasting.
It's the chase, right? We think we think we're searching for freedom. We never get the freedom though. I mean, you don't. Even right now, we have 10 or 11 managers inside the company now, right? And I'm probably lying. Maybe 9. I think 11 counts me and Oscar. Different managers inside the company. And there should be a level of freedom, but there's not, because there's still the liability.
Yeah.
And there's still the ownership. And so none of that ever leaves.
Right.
You know, we go on vacation and we still work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
You know,
Same.
and so I felt like for a long time it was like a irrational perspective that people had gotten of what that looks like. And so again, yes, we get to make our own schedule. We get to choose which 20 hours a day we work.
Right. I think that's it. It's the freedom to
choose
what hours, and like, am I going to go to sleep at 10 or 12 tonight?
There you go.
So,
am I getting up at 4?
I say that's the correct answer. And starting your own company, and or at least for me, is to having the flexibility. And I will honestly say that I don't feel personally, and maybe there's a lot of business owners that feel the same way, that you really don't have that much time freedom. And that's what I would say we aspire to in our family, in our house, is to have the freedom to, if I want to go, take 2 days off, and I'm not having to clock out and request PTO.
Yeah, that's
and
the
things
freedom
like
that you get to choose that, but you might still take it with you.
Yeah, right.
That's,
exactly. So.
You know, for a long time, general contractors, I mean, you know, it's not even general contractor, it's all of us, right? Subs in general, we've always been having to fight this fight of proving that we are who we say we are, and we're not going to run with your money, and we're not going to not do what we say we're going to do, because there's a lot of horror stories, especially in Tulsa, and it probably still everywhere, right?
Right.
I actually have a friend that's becoming a GC in California, and she was telling, she had posted on Facebook, and she had to stop at the courthouse to get fingerprinted. And I was like, what in the world? And she said, because in California, to become any type of contractor, you have to be fingerprinted so they can come after you. And I'm like, man, we should do that in Tulsa.
Yeah,
like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, we need that.
Yeah.
How do you feel, has that hindered your growth? Have you come up with that a lot of, like, people, you know, you're going out to a bid and you have a hard time overcoming some of that sometimes? Or do you feel like your experience?
I would say the general marketplace, and I believe a lot of our customers are similar, right? So you guys deal a lot more with the residential homeowners and stuff as I do. I think the general trepidation for most homeowners is scared, and someone told them that, you know, we required a large money down and it never came back, and we've been in positions just last year where you know, homeowners have given contractors a lot of money to get stuff done and vanished, and we had to come in to finish. So so yeah, the general, I believe the general marketplace, the public has a great fear of that, and I think all you can do is speak on your personal track record of you know, some validation that we have as a company, HBA members, Better Business Bureau, all, you know, the kind of accolades and affiliations that we have to kind of set us apart. But really, at the end of the day, it's you know, people are making a decision like, hey, I feel like I trust these people in this company.
Kind of winning that trust with your customer, you know, basically.
And your track record of past customers definitely helps with that. And
for sure.
you know, someone asked us that question not long ago, and I feel like now in 2024, and maybe it's because of our size now that we don't have to deal with that quite as often, because I think that you can quickly Google and see who we are, and that we're trustworthy. I definitely think in the early years that was something that we fought a lot, not just to prove that we were different than what everyone else was, and that we're different than maybe the past company that's been here. And for us, like specifically, when marketing, we were talking about marketing before we went live, like we don't market certain things. So for example, we never talk about poop or butt crack plumbers, okay? Because that is a narrative that was created by someone else that doesn't portray what plumbing is or who our people are, right? And so for a long time, so many of like our competitors, your competitors, have created their own problems that we've had to overcome because they created a narrative that wasn't true. Trailblaze the wrong thing. And it's just like, you know, when you show up, that's why our trucks all look brand new, clean, pretty. We have very specific expectations of what that looks like. We're always buying new trucks. I just sold a truck that had a lot of life left in it, 2017, and a lot of people said, It only has 130,000 miles on it. It has a lot of life left in it. It doesn't fit our image anymore. It was not the exact same. All of our trucks, we want it to look the same, but we've had to help, show that to.
And I see that as driving around town. I see you guys, your image, the vehicles, billboards. It's consistent. It's clean. Very professional. Very looking well done. And if I was in the market as a homeowner looking for HVAC, that will be on the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
You don't see like two beat up, old, outdated trucks and kind of putting down the road. They're all clean. They're all consistent. So I will say attest to your marketing.
And that's a huge
I see
piece.
that as a homeowner.
Well, we appreciate that. Our marketing, she said back there, she's like, yes. But also, it's a level of recruitment too, because our technicians want to work in a nice vehicle, and they want to have a trustworthy. They want to have air conditioning.
Right.
They want to have the tools, those things, and so that's what we've done to separate ourselves from everyone else. And so, do you feel like there's, in your space? I want to talk about pools because
there's a lot of pool builders in Tulsa.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of ones.
Since this podcast started, 3 more just started.
Because it's
probably.
summer.
And even when we were building the pool at our last house, we had quote after quote after quote, but it would take forever to even get those quotes.
Well, we're not
some
a customer.
people didn't even want to quote us. They were
we're
just
not.
Well, we don't have time.
We're not your customer that needs 6 quotes. We are not that customer. We're actually a normally one and done quote. Okay. But
who do you like? Who do you trust?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But we ended up, I think, with 6 quotes on that pool. And this was before you did pools, I believe, or we knew you maybe. But we ended up with 6 quotes. We had 3 reputable Tulsa companies not show up for their quote. We had 3 others that gave us the quote, but they
couldn't start for 6 months or something crazy like that.
2 couldn't start, and then the other, they couldn't. None of them could give us a price. So, like for us, if you need a new heat and air system, you need a new sewer, you need a new generator, someone's going to get you a price today, unless it's a little bit more out of the scope of work.
Right.
Then you're going to get it by tomorrow. Period. Okay. Everyone's working because we live in a society where people
want it now.
They want things, and we could not get that, and so.
Yeah.
That's my advice. You're not looking for advice.
Yeah, I like that.
But if you on pool quotes alone, I could not believe how many people just didn't show up. Well, that says a lot.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get
And I hear that, and I can tell you, I would take a stab on the percentage. 10 to 15% of jobs that we land are strictly because we're the only one that gave them a number.
Mm-hmm. Yes, isn't
not
that
a high
crazy?
percentage, but that's still a good free work because no one else would even.
Right.
Hey, we meet and greet, and just because they didn't send an estimate, we got it by default. So
who would have thought that you actually have to give a customer a price to get the job?
Exactly, right.
It's like that was mind blowing to me, to the point that honestly, that's how quality ended up adding plumbing, was because when we needed to sub out plumbing, we couldn't find anyone that we trusted like us, and we wanted them to provide service like us, and that never happened. And then that's quality just started electric two weeks ago, and that's why we started electric, because the exact same thing is that every time we needed it,
control
100%. Like our goal is if it's not working, we're gonna fix it today. If it's not fixable or you choose to replace it, we're doing that tomorrow. But if you need a new panel or a panel upgrade or something, and we had to sub that out, most of those subs that we were sending, it would be, okay, we can do it next week. And it's like, well, these people don't have AC. And people are looking for that. You can go on Amazon right now and order something, and it's here tomorrow. And in some cases, between 4 and 8 a.m. or 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. The next day. Right. So we have had to start evolving and changing what that looks like. And so
we live in a society where if you want a price for something, if you're going to look at vehicles, you're ready to buy one. Whether you tell the sales guy that or not, you're ready to buy one. If you're going to look at one, you're ready to buy one.
Yeah.
And it's the same way. Nobody just is like, well, I'm thinking about replacing this in 3 years. Can you give me a price? Well, the price ain't going to be the same.
Well, in 3 years, expect it to be a lot more.
Yeah. Right. But the truth is that most people, they really have it in their head, I'd like to do this. Hopefully I can budget, or hopefully I can do it. You know what I mean? That's really the truth.
Yeah. So, that's just, so whenever we built that pool, what was that, 2 or 3 summers ago?
Yeah.
Probably 3 summers ago. We had said then, do we need to make a pool company? FYI, no. The answer is no.
Join the club. Come on.
Yeah, right. But that's the secret. We recorded another episode with someone else earlier, and everyone's always asking us, like, what is the silver bullet to business ownership? What is the silver bullet that made you guys grow? What's this? And I'm like, there isn't one, but if I had to guess, customer service.
Well, that's why I considered starting a spray foam company, because whenever we were going to get our house spray foam,
you guys are as crazy as me.
They were like 6 weeks out, and I'm like, well, why don't I just buy the machine and we figure out how to start doing it,
Yeah.
Because
that's that entrepreneur.
We didn't do
mind.
it, but I thought, if they're 6 weeks out,
right,
they're missing out on a lot of business. Obviously, do they need more machines? Do they need more people? What's going on? Because if they're backlogged that much. But anyways,
we do live in a generation that a time of population where a lot of this generation is. We want it, and that our phones and technology, everything has got us accustomed to that. It's actually, I won't get much into it, but there's a huge study of this doctorate guy that did this big study on how the human brain is actually being changed and morphed today in our society due to the technology in our phones. Like, we can't do anything with our phone.
I literally have my show notes right here.
And you want information, like, you don't need to wait and let me go home and research and call my dad. I mean, it's right there, and it's a couple of clicks away on your phone. So we want it now, at least to know, and then able to make a decision. So yeah, you're absolutely right, and that doesn't just go to the younger generation. That's all generations, because of just the natural society has done that. So I think there's a huge something to say to that, where people they call and looking for quotes for HVAC, a pool, a home, really.
And they probably have an idea of
process.
what somebody else has paid for something similar.
Yeah.
So they're going to know most of the time if you're way out of the ballpark or way under, and go, okay, well, I just read that the average pool or the average air conditioner in Tulsa was X, and
Sure.
people do that.
Yeah.
We ask a lot of our, when we're headed out to a quote, like, what is your expectation that this would cost? Because there is, especially, we don't see it, I feel like in plumbing and heat and electric, it's not, we had a lot of people really devaluing what we did in HVAC for a long time. And that still happens. The people that, if you're looking for the bottom dollar, the cheapest price, we're not your company. Just because we show up 24/7. Someone in our building answers the phone until 9 p.m. every single night. Like, they are sitting in that building until 9 p.m. It's not third party. It's, we're dispatching. You talk to our managers. If you have an issue, you talk to someone. But that comes with a cost, right? And so, and that's been a lot of our focus, is how to create that experience. But then you battle you probably see this too with pools and homes, and so-and-so is $5,000 cheaper. What's that $5,000 going to cost you?
Right. Where are you gonna get that shorted somewhere down
and
the
the
road?
time, and the
quality,
in the
warranty, whatever.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%,
sure.
every time.
I definitely see that, and a lot of people ask that, yours cheaper. I've got a cheaper bid. I said, well, that's great. Here's why this is our price. And like I said, we build a quality to our product. We're not the race. We're not in the race to the bottom, and it's just not our model either. So, you guys, obviously, you get that, and I get that as well. So, we have a standard, we have a quality, we have overhead, and we maintain our professionalism, quality, and it's the same product, and it's consistent throughout. So, we're not going to always be the cheapest. So, very few times I have been. Surprisingly, I don't know how. But
every once in a while, you're why was that? What did I miss?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You get nervous, but usually I would say that's 90% or more of our customers understand that they're going with us, not being the cheapest bid that they got, or the only bid they got.
So what's been the biggest struggle for you, do you feel like, as far as being a business owner and dealing with, whether it's customers, your team, whatever it is? What's been your biggest stressor that you've dealt with in this whole process?
Very good question. Growth. I would say growth. It's we all want to grow, right? We're not in business to just maybe some people are, to stay the same, just do whatever you do every year. We obviously want to keep growing and expanding. So I would say the biggest obstacle that we found is we're growing, and there's no way around that. I mean, even if we really didn't try too hard, we're going to naturally grow. So how do you adapt and staff with your overhead, your current staff and managers, and how to manage the growth, right? You don't want to grow too much where you're just juggling all day and you can't keep up with the growth, but managing controlled growth. So I would probably say that's the biggest obstacle with being so embedded into the business too, to obviously be kind of, you have to look up a little bit higher to look down to see everything below us, see where your weak links are and where we need to ramp up and where there's more demand coming over here, and how do we handle that. So obviously growth is managing the growth.
I told Oscar from our few experiences of the things that we've built, pools, shop, house, business building, all of those things. My general consensus of the contractor for those things that we did was they tried to do everything themselves, and it never allowed them to have a good experience for their customer. So we had projects that wouldn't be on time, and it's like Oscar would be like, these guys need a project manager. That's not the owner. Because when it's just the owner still project managing everything, and you've got 10 projects going, none of them are going efficiently. No one's in charge of this one. It's like, well, this paint needs to be touched up, or this wall didn't get touched at all. Okay, I got it. And then now I'm reminding 2 weeks later because so-and-so forgot. Or, when we were building our shop, it's like, hey, we can't get, we could, when it was time to get into our shop, we love the city of Glenpool, but we could not get occupancy because we did not have 10 trees.
Wow.
Okay. And it was just like, frozen grounds. It was January when we were supposed to be moving in.
And your house or the shop?
The shop for quality.
For the building.
For quality.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yes. So
wow.
We could not get occupancy because Glenpool has all these new standards because they're growing fine, but it was time, and this was like 2 years ago, and we had already had Cox move our phones into the building, and we didn't realize this was holding us up. We expected occupancy, and they're like, you can't take occupancy, and I said, well, our phones are coming into this building, and they're like, you cannot sit in your seats, and I said, I will stand. It was a battle of the brains. However, it was over 10 trees, right? But had that been managed properly or better, that would have been caught and been so far ahead of that, right? You would have known those. But I feel like what happens is a lot of people want to start scaling and growing, and they're like, yes, I have 15 projects going at once, and it's like, okay, well, how many managers do you have? Me. A lot of people.
Well, it's kind of like, we're in over 50 houses a day, and if I was the only manager over all of those technicians going out and installs going out to houses, there would be so many balls dropped it wouldn't even be funny. It would just be crazy.
We had, so on our growth specifically, we had a couple local competitors that were so opinionated on why we had so much office staff. Okay, it was the whole hot topic of like, well, one of them was Cassie just has all that office staff so she can have women in the trades. Okay. Or how can they have pay that much office staff in the overhead? It's like, well, you're not, so don't worry about it. That's always been what we were doing because we were taking care of our customer and we were focused on the experience and we were planning for the growth. And so we were ahead of the growth, right? But our customers can rely on that, right? And so
we did a little bit backwards.
And again, what we always say is our quality grew faster than our brains did, and so we had to sometimes go backwards and be like, oh crap, and try to figure things out. But that's what customers want. Because we talk a lot about Amazon and AI.
Anybody could sell a job, right? But it's execution. How do you execute and follow up, and your back office, your overhead, and being able to keep up with that and execute that internally. There's a lot that goes to that. So,
well, they say at Walmart, the kiosk, the self-check kiosk, if you're buying like a vacuum cleaner and it'll pop up and say, get the 2-year replacement plan, it's like an 80% close rate because it asks every single time. So like anyone
and the people that check you out don't always ask it.
Yeah. So it asks
Mine was
every time.
declining.
Yeah,
I
right.
do too.
No,
Because
well, I
I'm
do
buying
too.
a $80 vacuum.
Yeah, we're gonna buy another one.
But
It's asking
statistically, it's an 80% close rate because people are like, well, yeah, I guess I do need that.
And they
You
do
know,
it
because
because
they
it asks
ask.
every time. But then
Because
what
they don't go in
happens?
there shopping for a warranty and asking about warranty.
Yeah.
Right, and so, but they wanted it once they were like, yeah, okay.
Now that I have the option.
Now that I have the option, but then the service after that on the warranty, what's that look like?
Yeah.
Not always great, right? So, like you said, anybody can sell, but what you do after you sell is what matters, and what people. That's what gets your return business.
Yeah.
That's what gets
Sure.
the growth.
Because the truth is there are times we're all going to screw things up, whether we're building a house or whether we're putting together a table, right? Somebody at some point that works for us or whatever is going to screw something up. But if our customers and the people that we're doing the work for, big or small, understand that we're going to stand behind our work and take care of, them through the whole process, that goes a long way as well. So
Yeah. For sure. So, what do you think is the most overlooked process that homeowners skip over when considering the next project at their house, like a pool or a?
I would say budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of people that come to tell me pool or home. This is my budget. They don't want to tell me that up front. That's fine. I say, well, here's all your wish lists, and this is roughly what that cost is going to be. And say, okay, well that's outside of my budget. Okay, well let's talk what is in your budget. So I like to tell a lot of the homeowners and our customers that you need to have a contingency. So let's say on a pool, $85,000 is your max. Well, let's try to get your pool into 80, 81, maybe 82,000. There's not a lot of contingency that usually you need on a pool, but you don't know what's underneath the dirt there either, so
Right.
you can have surprises. So I would say a lot of issues on the homeowner side is that they're at their max when they go in and they're like, oh, I saw this on HDTV and somebody had this and how much is that? And you give them a price, like, oh, can't do that now. I was like, well, that's fine, but it's going to be twice as much to do it later, and when you got concrete to bust out and all kind of stuff.
I wondered how much HGTV affects because I get so frustrated
I don't know.
when they're
Apparently,
like,
I need to start watching HGTV.
because do you have people that are like,
well, you can
well,
build a house in 30 minutes on HD.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, or like
Some of the stuff they're charging to demo a wall, 5,000. I mean, it's like some of these
it's
some of
either
these charges
really
are
extreme or really low.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
When Chip and Joanna Gaines
Yeah.
were on, it was like the worst because they would say new HVAC system for $7,200, and you're like, what? Nobody's doing that, and no complete new ductwork for $1,000 or something, and you're like, what? And or the tile for a whole new bathroom would be so cheap they would put these numbers on there that weren't realistic.
Yeah.
And so people all the time would be like, well, Chip and Joanna Gaines just replaced a new HVAC system for this brand new house, and you're like,
yeah, and they have that expectation all the time. It's like, well, I can get all this done for only that much on my house. Yeah, and so it's a.
and then they call you and you're like,
no.
that doesn't even cover the cost. Yeah. Maybe that was their price for the bulk.
Yeah,
You
could be the difference between Texas and some of the other shows back east where they're that same tile is 5 times the cost. So
yeah,
so.
It's crazy. I just wondered if you ever bump into that.
We do. Yeah, people are actually. So a product that we just got, Softcrete. A customer at the Home and Garden Show just last year brought that to us and asked us if we did Softcrete, and I had never heard of it. Mm-hmm. And she said it's rubber, doesn't get hot, slip resistant decking that they put around pools, and it's made of rubber and doesn't fade and all. She sold me on it. I was like, wow, that sounds really cool, but never heard of it. So I looked it up. She said, yeah, I saw it on HGTV. I said, oh, okay. So I looked it up and I was like, wow, this sounds really cool. It's like what they put around parks and splash pads. Looked it up and messaged the company, Softcrete, and lo and behold, 3 months later, we bought the territory to install it for the entire state of Oklahoma. But I got sold on it at the Home and Garden Show from a customer that saw it on HGTV.
Wow,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's the history behind it, and now we're probably getting ready to install some of that at the gathering place. So we'll have some good exposure, and it's really picking up steam. And being the only one that can install it in the state of Oklahoma is a pretty, and it's a very phenomenal product. But yeah, that's
you do definitely have to be willing to grow. That's one of Quality's core values. So it's like it's so embedded in me that I say it to other people all the time. But you have to be willing to grow in like what technology can do and what your customers are seeing.
Yeah.
Because some people get so close-minded of, no, I've done it this way for so long.
Yeah.
You know, if
some people are still waiting on the yellow book phone calls.
Yeah, if we only did HVAC, plumbing, and electric the way Oscar learned it, we wouldn't be selling as much because way back then, because he's way older than me, way back then, he was doing, there was no Wi-Fi thermostats, there was no communicating systems, there was no...
Hey, I still wrote invoices on paper.
He did do that, right? But there's so much of that. There's mercury thermostats.
Yeah.
But if we just kept that mindset, we would be leaving our customers out of all the technology.
Sure, yeah.
And even with like our older customers, that are older generation customers, they... it's funny because sometimes they are more excited about the technology than even the younger generation who just expect it.
Yeah.
Before my grandparents passed away, we replaced my grandparents' HVAC system, and we put a digital thermostat in my papa's house, and it was literally like the most basic digital thermostat. Like it was the biggest, largest display that we could find with the biggest buttons, and it was up or down. No Wi-Fi, no programming, but he thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure. Yeah.
But we could have just left him on an old mercury thermostat, right? But you have to be willing to like go learn, go learn about the softcrete, evolve, and then be able to teach that.
Yeah.
And some people hold themselves back by not being willing to do that.
The softcrete came when I wasn't looking for it. I was at the Home and Garden Show to sell our products, our current products, right? Homes and pools. And a customer came up to the booth and sold me on a product that we didn't have. So
wow, that's cool.
So we are, speaking of the Home and Garden Show, we're all going to be doing that next week. This episode will not be live, so this will be in retro. We'll have to like come back and be like, so did it really happen? Yeah. But next week we're going to the Home and Garden Show. You've been there a few years.
Yeah.
This is our first year back. I was telling you before we went live, about 6 years ago we did the Home and Garden Show.
I think it was 6 years, yeah.
And we were so much smaller back then. It about killed us because there's like 4 people total in the office, and we all worked it straight.
It's like hurting. Like who's doing
we're also answering the phones from there. Now that's definitely not the experience that'll happen. It'll be a different. But in our space outside of Oklahoma, there are a lot of people that have perceptions of these shows like it's a waste of time. And I don't truly believe anyone's going to come to the Home and Garden Show. They're going to see about 12 heat and air companies. I think there's 7 plumbing companies and 5 or 6 electric companies. They're going to see a ton of builders, right? A lot of pools.
Pool builders,
it's just about piquing interest. What do you hope to gain from those shows when you go there?
Well, I always, the first year, so this would be my 3rd, maybe 4th year at the Home and Garden Show. And, it does bring sales. So there's no doubt about that. They're more competitive sales because everybody's giving away some shiny object, whatever the hitching thing is, right? So not a lot of compulsive decisions are made. Purchasing a pool, right? $70,000-$80,000 investment in your backyard. It's not just like, yeah, let's do it. So, but I do feel for the branding, the growth that we talked about as far as growing the company, being there consistently, seeing there is, the billboards, the trucks, it's being consistent, being a common presence there. And so this year will be the first year what we get to actually go, and hopefully that customer that showed us about Softcrete will actually have a Softcrete booth there. So,
cool.
So now we'll have a new product in the marketplace in Tulsa available to the entire state. We're actually doing the Home and Garden Show in Tulsa and in Oklahoma City for Softcrete this year.
Oh, nice.
Are you doing Claremore?
No, we're not doing the Claremore one. We wanted to kind of ease into it. So
we're going into
we got
Claremore
we got quite a log of jobs already that we have to get done by this summer. So
that's a good problem, right?
It's a good problem, but here it is. It's it's the growth side of it, right? So it's a new product. It sells itself. It is not the cheapest product. It's a luxury product, but people want it around their pools, and for us to being able to grow and expand that, what we want to do. Now, what does that look like on us being on the back end, being able to deliver and execute and have the back office to support the work and the invoicing and the materials and the ordering, procurement. So there's a lot that goes to it. So I just feel like it's the natural evolution of growing. So we look forward to it. The Home and Garden Show, it is long, exhausting hours and, a lot of talking, and it's like a 3-4 day podcast almost. You're just like
Constant.
selling.
You got to be on, and then you, and then some of it's for nothing, but all of it, it's all for something. It's all for the exposure, the recognition. Like I said, I tell our people, we're not going there to sell equipment. Whatever we come from it is more exposure and
we saw
more.
3 months later, you'll see, I saw you at the Home and Garden Show. You go to somebody's house and they got your magnet on the fridge or whatever. So it all adds up into the branding and marketing. It does.
But if you go into it saying, like, I'm going to sell a house or I'm going to sell a pool this show.
I did that. I did that 2 years ago. I said we had a goal, a financial goal of what we wanted to sell at the Home and Garden Show, and we never made it. We never made it. We always get sales at the Home and Garden Show, so there is definitely a benefit to that, and it covers the cost and the time that goes into doing the show. But it is just a consistency, just being there every year, and people that saw us 2 years ago weren't ready then, and maybe they see us and they're ready now. So it's kind of a follow up and a follow through with your branding and marketing to be there, and kind of, I consider it a necessary evil, but it's not really an evil, but it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into the setup, the tear down, the marketing behind it, and things of that. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I find it beneficial.
It's definitely going to be this. Like I said, this is our first year back. Honestly, we probably should have been there the last 2 years, but it just wasn't our focus. Right. It was not necessarily wasn't our focus, but it's not cheap. Number one, those booths are not cheap. All of the tear down, the setup, you got to have staff to do that. Kaylee, our marketing manager, she's sitting in the room with us. Y'all can if you're listen to any podcast Cassie's on, I'm always talking about Kaylee, and people think that someone said, "Well, Kaylee's Cassie's assistant," and I'm like, I wish she was. She helps me with a lot of things, but she handles all the marketing for everything. But literally, what goes into this Home and Garden Show? Yesterday, I said Kaylee and I are going to need to be checked into a mental facility, maybe, or a what did I say? A mental health day. Like because it's a lot, it's a lot. But anyways, it's exciting. Well, we are super excited that you got to come in. Actually, anybody in the future, we are currently recording at Blue Studios, and Anthem Construction's building is where this is housed, and so we were excited about that. Just a little plug there. With this podcast, we knew what we wanted to do, but we knew that we believe in staying in our lane of business and what we can do. So you're probably not ever going to see us, I don't want to say ever, but I don't know, we'll do a whole setup. It's easier to come in an environment like this, out of our office, do the thing, and leave. And so we're excited to find that in Tulsa. They're building a brand new, Anthem Construction is actually building them a brand new studio in the same building. And so lots of opportunity there. But so we thank you for being our second guest ever. And
number 2.
There you go.
It was number 1.
Yeah, right.
I didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it was just like a scheduling thing. Your first same day though. For Tulsa Talks Business.
Second best. Sometimes we still
always the first. Right? First in homes. Marvin was first in insurance, so you're both the first. Yeah. Okay, I can always find a way to turn it. But anyways,
I'll take it. It was great being on with you guys. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to hopefully future invites. So,
for sure. We want to our goal for this is to just keep growing, talking to more businesses in Tulsa that are doing business like us, that are providing exceptional customer service, and to continue to show the Tulsa, other people in Tulsa that are looking to be entrepreneurs or business owners to provide great customer service. Our customers are the type of people that you can expect who are coming to your house. And anyway, so we're excited. So thank you for coming and hanging out.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Great being on. Thank you.